A troubled Michigan cop moved from department to department, leaving scandal in his wake. So we've been asking this question ever since the entire Laws series. How do these police officers keep getting jobs? That's the question. How do you get fired from one police department, commit a scandal, commit a crime, be involved in nonsense and debauchery, and then be able to move to another police department with all of that still on your record and continue to do the same thing and never get any Fox News coverage, never get any New York Post coverage, never get covered on Newsmax, Mark Dice or Tim Pool, never do a video about you, actual justice warrior. This just happened to slide past his desk. How is it that happens? Let's find out.
He is a troubled Michigan police officer who moved from department to department, leaving scandal in his wake.
In multiple cities, he was accused of abusing his authority, violating the public trust, and lying repeatedly. But that didn't stop him from finding badges in city after city.
Tonight, 7 investigator Ross Jones reveals how it was.
So now here's the thing. How many times have we heard about this happening? But remember, this never happens, though. Remember, we're victims. Remember, we're grifters. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How often do we complain about this kind of thing occurring? And shout out to DJ Elmo and shout out to Carlton Way. What's good with y'all? How often do we complain about this kind of thing occurring? We complain about this kind of thing occurring all the time. Now, the news. Oh, we're so gracious. Thank you, news, for giving us the reports about this, right? But for some reason, as much as the news wants to be good citizens and throw this stuff in our face, one thing that never gets thrown in our face is any solutions to this trail of nonsense that these slugs leave behind. Why you guys think that is? Let's continue.
Was able to happen and how some police chiefs could soon be in hot water.
It's frustrating that someone like this could slip through, and the system is in place for a reason, and it should have caught this guy.
Plenty of police departments were willing to hire Officer Mark Aldrich.
Yeah, there's definitely a system, but the system that he's talking about ain't the same one that I'm talking about. There's also a system in place to ensure that people like him continue to get those kind of jobs because the criteria of who he is, what we're looking at right there, and his behavior are a job requirement. So if you go from department to department and you tell the chief or you tell the supervisor, hey, I have these kind of things on my record. Well, welcome, sir. You're the exact individual that we were looking for to fill the position. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
But very few, we learned, were eager to explain why.
You think this is the best look right now, sir? You don't want to talk about this, sir?
Aldrich has worked for at least 4 different police agencies, running into serious trouble repeatedly. But instead of losing his badge, our investigation reveals he kept finding new ones.
Now, how many people remember that story about Officer Stephen Q? If you guys remember about Officer Stephen Q, let me know in the chat. Now, Stephen Q was also from Michigan, but he was from Detroit. Okay.
As an officer with Belleville Police, records show Aldrich obtained a vehicle from a towing company to give to a needy family. But instead of donating the car, according to police records, the vehicle showed up on eBay. Aldrich said he sold it for extra income. He would later claim the vehicle was always intended for his own use.
Eventually, Aldrich wore out his welcome in Belleville, with the chief there telling me he asked him to resign. He did. And it wasn't long before Aldrich found his next job here in Huron Township.
So now here's the question. How was he able to leave there and then get a job at the police department in Huron Township? How did that work? How was he able to do that? Make that make sense. Now, let me ask you guys this. Where else do you ever hear about these kind of in-depth reports about these dirty cops? Now, the thing is that if we didn't cover this kind of stuff, if you listen to the gaslighting of the mainstream media and just, your neighbors, your coworkers and stuff like that, people might actually be convinced by the nonsense that half of these people spew out. Well, this stuff doesn't happen. Let me ask you guys this. How would a quote unquote police accountability bill or police accountability quote unquote legislation stop this? That's my question for you guys. Let me know what you think.
And trouble soon followed.
Less than 6 months on the force, records show Aldrich responded to a vehicle crash that involved an exotic dancer. Aldrich arrested the woman for OWI and marijuana possession. A week later, while the charges against her were still pending, he met up with her at the strip club where she worked. Aldrich received lap dances, records show, and the woman performed a sex act.
Now that's called leveraging your power. How many people would agree? That's what you call leveraging your power. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, he got ratchet with it. Oh man, I bet you she wasn't the only one that ended up with the cuffs on. I bet you that much. Bet you that much. Now, let me ask you guys this. Why isn't this story in the national news? This just isn't something that people want to hear about at their dinner table, I guess.
He was later accused of harassing the woman, sending texts that creeped her out. When questioned, Aldrich was deemed dishonest.
Now, mind you, right, she volunteered for all that and did a sex act, but all of a sudden, when she got tired of hearing about him, he was a creep. All of a sudden, he was a creep. This is how women treat men, and examples after examples, and now we're hearing about it again. Man, he went from giving her a ticket to how does that work? Oh man, how does that work? Somebody make that make sense.
Strip club where she worked. Aldrich received lap dances, records show, and the woman performed a sex act.
Shout out to DeAndre. What's good with you, bro?
The woman, sending texts that creeped her out. When questioned, Aldrich was deemed dishonest. Wrote a Huron Township lieutenant, "I shudder to think of what his attitude or actions may consist of if he were allowed to continue employment." Aldrich resigned and began looking for his next job.
Shame on us if we allow people like this guy.
So now remember, this is job number 2. This is job number 2. He just gonna go from department to department to department to department. But remember guys, this never happens. This doesn't happen. This is just us being paranoid. You know what this is? This is just us. This is just us focusing on race. That's what it is. That's what this is. That's because that's literally all we do. That's what we spend most of our time doing, right? Let's make people happy today.
To victimize the citizens that we took an oath to protect.
Ron Haddad spent 14 years as Dearborn's
Shout out to Cameron. What's good with you, bro?
To review Aldrich's background. Would he have given him a badge?
I would not have hired this gentleman. To hire someone like this will clearly erode the integrity of the department.
But at least one police chief was willing to roll the dice.
Now, mind you, they showed, what was it, like 4 different badges, and they got one police chief at a police department that he probably did not apply to come on the news and say, well, I wouldn't hire this guy. Well, sir, you're the minority. Because he was clearly able to get jobs very easy at other police departments with very minimal effort. So let me ask you guys this. When it comes to hiring these police officers, what kind of background check is being done? And shout out to y'all. I don't know if anybody heard about this, but right in my own backyard, I don't know if you guys heard, in Akron, Ohio, there was a police officer that shot, didn't kill, a teenager that was carrying a fake gun. Now, this teenager didn't run, didn't point the gun, didn't do any of that. He just shot at him. How many of y'all heard about that? If you guys heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, that actually happened. Make it make sense.
I am taking a huge gamble, wrote the chief in Carlton, Michigan, and Aldrich better have all these issues behind him. Chief Roy Johnson hired Aldrich in 2017. While in Carlton, he racked up complaints as minor as speeding and running stop signs to more significant ones, like conducting an illegal traffic stop and dishonesty. He was hit with multiple citizen complaints over his anger and last October was accused of road rage.
MFA dispatch.
My girlfriend and my daughter-in-law were just up at Kroger, and someone brandished a firearm at them and threatened them.
During a dispute over a parking.
Yeah, I think the kid is okay. If you guys are interested in hearing about that, I could try to add that in. If you guys are interested in hearing about that story, give me a thumbs up. If you guys are not interested in hearing about that story, give me a thumbs down. If you guys are, if I see the thumbs up, then I'll try to find a quick article about it so we could check it out real quick after this.
Space, a woman at this grocery store said Aldrich lifted his shirt to reveal his gun, then asked, "Do you want to see my badge?" He called her a rash of expletives. She didn't pursue charges, and by phone, Aldrich claimed he did not brandish his gun. But when he was questioned about what happened, his police chief deemed Aldrich was not truthful.
But perhaps the most serious allegation against him came back in January as Aldrich was preparing to leave Carlton. According to the police chief, while he was reviewing body camera footage stemming from citizen complaints against Aldrich, he noticed one of the videos had been deleted. Aldrich, he said, was the top suspect.
But instead of pursuing the issue, the chief dropped it there, writing in this memo, "I have decided not to pursue criminal charges for the destruction of evidence due to the fact that Aldrich has resigned." By phone, Aldrich told me,
"So how do you just get to do that? How do you just get, let's just hold on real quick. Let's just stop right there. How do you just get to do that? I'm just not gonna continue to investigate this. We're just not gonna put this on his record. How does that work? Again, this is something that they say doesn't happen as we're sitting here watching it happen. So I want you guys to understand that when people sit there and say that we're gaslighting, we're not gaslighting. It's actually us who are being gaslit because we have people literally trying to tell us to not believe our observable reality. We're sitting here observing this, yet we're being told that it doesn't happen. Because people just don't want to deal with this. Because if you have to deal with this, then you got to deal with a lot of other stuff. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, please take a moment, smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and share the stream to your social media.
I don't have any recollection of deleting that body cam.
Chief, can we talk to you 1 second? It's Ross Jones with Channel 7.
The chief declined our request for an interview, so we found him earlier this month as he picked up his lunch.
You wrote that hiring him would be a huge gamble. You hired him anyway. Well, why did you gamble with public safety?
I have a press release for you at the station.
Why would you take a gamble on a guy who had been found to have had sex with a woman he gave a DUI to? Okay. Why would you hire somebody like that?
I have got a press release for you at the station.
We wanted to ask the chief why, on the very same day he wrote that Aldrich may have destroyed evidence, he reported to state regulators that he resigned in good standing.
You were going to pursue charges of destruction of property. Instead, you let another agency hire him. Why did you do that?
I have the press release for you. I don't have anything to add or subtract.
Do you have any answers?
I have a press release for you.
By reporting that Aldrich left on good terms, it prevented the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards from flagging his license.
Now, do you see that? That's what. Now, you see that? That's a tactic. It's a tactic. It's tactical for them to not go after this and to complete an investigation, because if they complete this investigation, then they have to put it on his record. And what they know is that if they don't put this on this record, then he'll be able to be hireable and continue to generate income because he doesn't have any of these things on his record. Most of these things in most cases would be undetectable. If that makes sense, give me a thumbs up. If it don't make sense, give me a thumbs down. And shout out to Tia for being a like enforcer. Make sure you guys show some love, throw some flames, radiation emoji, and some like enforcers in the chat for Tia. Definitely appreciate you, Tia.
Making it easier for another agency to hire him. It wasn't long before one did.
I'm blown away and impressed by how well Lake Orion PD is doing on recruiting.
Earlier this year, Lake Orion's police department extended a warm welcome to Officer Aldrich.
So again, this is what this is what they consider good recruiting. Their words, not mine. Their words, not mine. You know what I'm saying? You can't make it up.
Calling him a very approachable fellow. He was hired by Police Chief Todd Stanfield.
There you go, a very approachable fellow. He's very approachable. You know, especially if you're a stripper. You know what I'm saying? He's very approachable. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you take singles.
Earlier this year, Lake Orion's police department extended a warm welcome to Officer Aldrich, calling him a very approachable fellow. He was hired by Police Chief Todd Stanfield, who declared under the penalty of perjury that he had reviewed Aldrich's personnel file from Carlton PD. He never did.
Chief, before the meeting begins.
Now, he never did. Now, let me ask you guys this. Do you think that he faced the penalty of perjury? If you guys think that this individual faced the penalty of perjury for lying on this affidavit, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down. So I guess they really shouldn't put on these affidavits that there's a penalty of perjury if there isn't. Because there clearly isn't. He's very approachable. Some great guy right here. Family man. You know what I'm saying?
Earlier this year, Lake Orion's police department extended a warm welcome to Officer Aldrich, calling him a very approachable fellow. He was hired by Police Chief Todd Stanfield, who declared under the penalty of perjury that he had reviewed Aldrich's personnel file from Carlton PD. He never did.
Chief, before the meeting begins, can we talk to you quickly? It's Ross Jones with Channel 7.
Chief Stanfield wouldn't agree to an interview either, so we found him at a city council meeting earlier this month.
So now here's another question. They don't have any press releases. They don't have any statements. They don't have anything to say. Shout out to my man Bunker. What's good with it, bro? They never do interviews. They never have a comment. And they never have any questions, and they never have any answers to any questions. But remember, he said that he had a press release. Somebody make that make sense.
Why would you hire an officer without doing a complete background investigation?
I have no comment.
Well, you hired this officer, sir.
Stanfield wouldn't answer our questions, then ducked behind a locked door. Hours later, the city council voted to demote him from chief to lieutenant. City Council President Jerry Narsh would not say if Aldrich's hiring was the reason why.
Why would Lake Orion...
Now, that's interesting because they just demoted this individual, but they wouldn't say anything about the demotion. So I want you guys to pay very close attention. If you can see how the city council protected this individual, because that's exactly what they did. They protected his job. They demoted him, not fired him, and they wouldn't cooperate with the press. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many of y'all see the value chain links at work in this situation here? And let me ask you guys this question, because what we're watching is an organic tactic. And what is this organic tactic used for?
Hire an officer like that.
Well, I guess that's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you.
Well,
I mean, just no accountability. That's a great question. I just don't have the answer for you. He has the answer. I guarantee you that answer has something to do with why they had that city council meeting and demoted that guy.
A lot of police chiefs are telling different stories tonight. Lake Orion officials say that Aldrich is currently on administrative leave, but M. Cole says his license is in inactive status, meaning he can't be a cop anywhere right now. Huron Township's police chief tells me he only hired Aldrich after getting rave reviews from Belleville's police chief, who had told me previously he asked Aldrich to resign.
So did you guys catch that? Did you guys catch that? He got rave reviews from the same police chief that asked him to resign.
He can't be a cop anywhere right now. Huron Township's police chief tells me he only hired Aldrich after getting rave reviews from Belleville's police chief, who had told me previously he asked Aldrich to resign.
Now, again, none of these people are being held accountable for any of this. Why do you think that is? Why do you think Greg Foreman or Officer Tatum hasn't done a video about this? We got some content creators missing in action on this one. Oh man.
Telling different stories tonight. Lake Orion officials say that Aldrich is currently on administrative leave, but M. Cole says his license is in inactive status, meaning he can't be a cop anywhere right now. Huron Township's police chief tells me he only hired Aldrich after getting rave reviews from Belleville's police chief, who had told me previously he asked Aldrich to resign. As for Chief Roy Johnson in Carlton, he said he reported that Aldrich left in good standing because it wasn't until later that same day that he suspected him of destroying that body camera footage.
Now, why would you destroy body camera footage? How do you even have access to body camera footage to take it out and destroy it? Shout out to the Bunker. My man Bunker says Candace Owens will be doing a fundraiser for him soon. Facts. He probably was at the baby shower. If you guys agree with Bunker that Candace Owens will probably be doing a fundraiser for this guy pretty soon, give me a thumbs up. She's gonna say that he got fired because of fentanyl. That's what it was. He got fired because of fentanyl. You know what I'm saying? It was all the fentanyl. Blame the fentanyl.
Mark Aldrich, as you may suspect, did not agree to an interview on this story.
Sounds like a lot of passing the buck and kind of now it's your...
A lot of stories that aren't quite aligning, but this is not the only cop like this. It's not the first cop we've done a story like this. There will be more. We got to come up with a better way to stop this from happening.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that newscaster. If only everybody else agreed with it.